Hello everyone and welcome to Merlin's Manor. Today I'm going over my top 10 gimmicks in board games. These are things that are unique or cool that stand out and draw you into the game experience in a positive way. So I'm going to go ahead and go over a few honorable mentions to start out with. And first of all, we have the Everdell Tree, which I think a lot of people know about this. And it's kind of a cool little thing to look at. You put the events up on top here and your meeples here. And there's a place for cards to be kind of put in here for you to draw from. It can get in the way some if you're playing at a higher player count. You're probably going to have somebody behind this at 4 players or more, and they're going to have trouble kind of seeing everything. But it is kind of a cool kind of thing. Some people don't like it for that fact that it kind of gets in the way, so it kind of made the honorable mentions here. Another one is from 5 Minute Mystery, and you have this Codex here, where you're going to have to kind of turn these around to match the symbols that are found on these different cards. And then at the end of each time you do this, you're going to have to reset it all the way back to having all of these like this, which can take some time, which is kind of the reason why I didn't include this one, because you've got a huge time constraint in this game that you are trying to get everything done, and having to spend 10-15 seconds resetting this every time as well as finding each one gets a little fiddly for that type of game, so I'm using that as an honorable mention as well. So those are my honorable mentions, the Everdell Tree and the Codex from 5 Minute Mystery. Now let's get into the actual top 10 list here. And the first one I'm going to mention is from a game called Pompeii, and that is this volcano here. And it's just kind of neat that you have this volcano, and certain actions during the game are going to allow you to take one of your opponent's pieces and toss them into the volcano. It's just kind of a fun thing to do, as they're going to want to try to have as many pieces still on the board to escape, to get points at the end of the game, as well as if you're tied at the end of the game, the person with the most pieces in here is going to not win. So the one who has the least amount of pieces out of the ties is going to win the game. And so it's kind of a neat, just kind of fun little mechanic where you are tossing the other opponent's players into the volcano, representing them getting killed by the volcano. And so it's just kind of a neat little fun thing there that adds to the game. My number 9 is The Adventures of Robin Hood, and there's two things I want to bring up about this game. First of all, you have cardboard pieces on the board that are going to flip to make different things active, that you're able to go to those and do those things. And then the second thing is how the movement works in this game. You're going to have these different meeples that you're going to have different lines on, and some are a little bit longer than the other ones, and you're going to be able to line those up in order to see how far you're able to move. So that's an interesting way to handle movement in this game, where you have this big board that you're trying to travel across. The next one on my list is the adventure book games, and I've got the Princess Bride adventure book here as an example. And the gimmick here is that the storybook here is your board, and so you're going to open up to a new page each round, each game, and you're going to play on the book. And I just thought that was really kind of cool, a way to do these. And there's now 3 of them currently. There is the Princess Bride, there is the Wizard of Oz, and there is the Lord of the Rings. And there's another one coming out. I forget what it's called now, but I just really enjoy this kind of a gimmicky kind of thing where you are playing on the board there. It's a lot of fun, adds something to the game. The next one I want to mention, I don't actually have the board game, that is Fractured Skies, and the component from there that I want to talk about is the magnets that go onto the bottom of the ships. You have these different numbers that are on these different magnets that represent the power that you're going to have there in different actions, and so you're going to place that on there, and the person who has the highest one on each island is going to get first place to be able to take the best action on that island, and then it's going to be second and third and so on. So you're trying to put out the one that has the highest number of that area usually, but you have to kind of, you can only use up to 10 power in each round, or you start really incurring a huge penalty, and so you have to kind of figure out which one you want to put, and the fact that it's hidden there makes it to where others don't know what you're doing, unless you have a 10 or a 0 that you're playing, and then both of those look the same. You have a little white ring around it, and so somebody knows you've either played your 10 power or your 0 power at that point, but the rest of them, people have no clue what you're doing. It's just kind of a neat way with those magnets that you snap to the bottom of your ship, that you can kind of do that secretly. I just thought it was kind of a cool little gimmick there as well. Next one I want to talk about is from Planet Unknown, and that is the Lazy Susan. I'm going to tip this up as best I can. And this is just kind of cool because each round you're going to turn this thing just like you would any kind of Lazy Susan, and then what's facing you, you are able to pick from one of the 2 depots that are closest to you there. So if you see that, I would have a choice from this depot or this depot if it was in front of me. Actually, I'm this way. So this depot or this depot. And so I'd be able to choose one of these pieces, and then for the next round we turn it again, and it keeps doing that. And so it's just kind of a neat way to set up what's in front of you. The one drawback to this is the setup, or should I say at the end of the game, however you want to do that, you need to take all of these out and shuffle them and put them back. It's a little tedious to do at the end of a game or at the start of a new game to make sure that they're properly randomized. Now, there's one drawback from it, but it is kind of a cool system having that lazy Susan there where you can draw from the ones that are in front of you. The next one I want to bring up is Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and that is that you have you're going to have a board surrounding this thing, but then you are going to, certain actions are going to have you turn this and put out a marble, and it's going to roll randomly into some place, and you're going to put out a certain amount depending on each action that you're doing. And then later on, you're going to be able to come around and collect these if you are in front of that depot and you have the right thing to collect. And this is actually an event one here. You would do an event card and then put it back in. But so it can be a little finicky sometimes getting these out, especially as I'm trying to do this while holding it. And then sometimes they tend to roll in a certain location more often than others. And so there's a little bit of kind of a weird kind of way that works, but it is kind of a cool gimmick. It's fun to release those marbles into the different areas and hope that the right marble comes out for you, what you want to do, and it goes into the right place for you. It's just really cool. And by the way, this game is kind of a my first deck builder type game. You're going to be buying up a few minor cards throughout the game that are going to, and so it's very simple. You're not going to be adding a whole bunch of cards to your to your hand, but then you're using those cards to do different actions. It's kind of a fun little my first deck builder type game for kids and families. Anyway, so that was Big Thunder Mountain Railroad with the marbles and that mountain there, and then we got the Books of Time, and that is the binders that you're going to have in this game. So you got 3 different binders that you're going to have that represent different types of actions that you're going to be able to do, different types of cards that you're going to have. You have all these different cards, and you're going to be putting them in your binders. And so you're going to be opening it up and adding to your binders, and then as you go through, you're going to be able to do the actions on the bottom as you get those things, and then you're going to be able to come back through and do actions as you close your book. And so you've got these kind of cool little binders that you're going to be adding cards to. And so let's say I were to buy this card here and put it into this binder. I would have to snap it open, put that card in, snap it closed, and now I'm adding to my engine something that I can be using. I do find you don't use that reverse action as often as you might think you will be able to do, but it is still kind of a fun thing to build up the engine, then you're going to go back through and use those different things. And so just a kind of a cool little, again, gimmick that adds to the game quite a bit. So that was Books of Time with the binders. Next we got Don't Go In There. And what's cool about this one is that once you get everything out of here, so as I was saying, once you get everything out of there, the box that everything is stored in becomes a dice tower. And so you'll just roll the dice through there, and there you go. That's just kind of a really cool way that the box isn't just kind of just to store your game. It becomes a component within the game. And so I thought that was really kind of a cool way to do that. You have your dice tower there to roll the dice. And the dice themselves are really cool. They got this glow-in-the-dark feature, which of course you're not really going to play with in the dark like that, so you're not going to get to experience that in the fullness, but it's just kind of a cool little addition there. I just really like that the box becomes a dice tower. And then the second one I want to talk about, again, is a game that I don't have, but it is Dice Forge. And in Dice Forge, you are going to be changing the faces of your dice throughout the game. So the dice aren't going to remain the same. You're going to buy these new dice faces that are going to be more advantageous to you, and you're going to use this little peeler thing to peel off the previous dice face that's on there, and then you're going to snap in a new dice face, improving your dice as you go. It's just a really cool aspect of the game that you are going to be able to do that. And so I thought they were really cool dice. And then finally, the number one on my list is Return to Dark Tower, and it's the tower itself. Again, this is another game that I don't own, and a friend of mine has it, and we play it. And basically, you've got this tower that's electronic, and you're putting these different skulls into the tower, and it's going to randomly at certain points in the game shoot out the skulls into different locations, and you're going to hope that you don't get too many in one location that you're going to not be able, that it's going to be bad for you if you get too many in that location. You kind of have to take care of those as you go, make sure they're not piling up too much in any one location. But the tower itself is just really cool, and how it is able to just kind of randomly disperse those things in different ways, as well as you have different runes that are going to light up in certain situations, and so it's able to add to the game quite a bit as far as the experience, as well as what it does as far as the gameplay itself. And so I really like the Return to Dark Tower and what it adds to the game, both in the game presence as well as what it does. And so these are the top 10 gimmicks in games as far as I've experienced. What are the gimmicks that you really like in some board games? You like some of these ones, or there's others that I haven't mentioned? Let me know in the comments down below. And I hope you've enjoyed this video, and hope that you might check out some of these games. And as always, I hope you have a great week, and game on.